So a few days ago we made some modifications here in what is supposed to become the garden, the vegetable garden or kitchen garden, and that is, we now have 3 sprinklers. We were able to repurpose them because down there in A7, which is going to be a Miyawaki forest, we let the plants finish their cycle and there is no need for irrigation, so we were able to bring these sprinklers up here. And since we started to irrigate here, this sees a lot more rampant growth, so to say. Water makes plants grow, so that definitely is helpful. Before it was quite difficult to keep up with the need for water, and now this takes a turn. So my conclusion so far is we definitely need to invest into this other type of irrigation system, and I promise you guys there will be a detailed video about the experiment. And it's not an experiment as trying out something, it is a very deliberate thing, and I will show you how we are going to do this. In software development we call this type of experiment a spike. So when we don't know how to implement something, how to write the code for something, or how something is going to work, we take a day aside and try it out in a controlled environment in order to learn. We will not use that code later on. This is just to get the knowledge, and precisely that is what we are going to do with this other type of irrigation, with these wobblers. So we are going to build something in a different place for the sole purpose of learning how this works, how much it can irrigate. We will install a gauge to understand the liters that will go through the system, and also the pressure and all these things. You will see. This is going to be very interesting. And expect this sometime in August. So here the okra is definitely staying on top. The grasses are not reaching that high. I did cut yesterday late afternoon, almost before sunset, when the temperatures were low enough, quite a bit of the grasses and all the other things. So this especially is a weed that is growing very aggressively and can easily take over everything else. It's a pioneer species, greatly welcome unless you have something else that you want to grow. And so I cut this down a little bit. In other places the okra is already making some, let's call it a fruit body, and this seems to be working out very well. I don't intend to clean this up. I'm happy with everything that grows. It's going to be biomass, and we will see what exactly we will use this area here for. And over there it's a similar thing. I don't mind that everything that can grow somehow grows, be it a weed or the things that we seeded. None of that really matters at the moment. What matters is that there are more living roots in the substrate, in the to-be soil, because as you can see, this is sand, minerals, and there is almost no organic content. So therefore not a lot of things are able to grow. So you cannot grow a salad in this. That I'm pretty sure. Other things like the sunna and the corn, yeah, you can. As you can see, it works. But then it also requires a lot of irrigation, as you can see in the example of that corn there, because this sandy stuff does not hold water, and the little bit of straw and horse manure that we added here is not really cutting it. This guy sits alone there for some reason. Some seed got blown away, and this is a corn like you would expect. I would also think that it is not right to have that densely planted corn, but I did mention this before. I was unsure whether the seeds are still viable, so there were several in each spot. Usually I think you plant them about 2 inches deep, so that makes it 5 centimeters, and like 20-30 centimeters apart or something like that. So definitely not the way this is. But it doesn't matter. The idea was use the seed or let it go bad, and maybe something grows. At the very least we'll have biomass. Maybe we have a few cobs of sweet corn. So we cannot lose here. But what really counts is the trees. And these trees will be turned into wood chip sometime over the winter. And then next year they will grow again, and probably much faster than they are growing right now. So we will do the technical cut here. Now that we have seen how this works, that is something that I think we should do, and wood chips is a good thing, so that we can feed the fungi. Over there we have a melon growing in the direction of the sun hemp, which is okay. Of course the sun hemp will likely lose, but that's not a problem. From a seed we get at least 20 centimeters of plant, which is a little bit of biomass that wasn't there before. So it's not a loss at all. A tiny seed makes a lot of plant matter, and that is what we need. So if you look for a harvest and measure your success on what you can take away and put into your mouth, then you are running a production unit, and you do this for a gain. And in our case, the gain comes later. So first comes the soil. And after a few rounds of soil making, we can then think about gaining something. It is important to understand the difference between extraction and regeneration. So we have to do regeneration. There's no other way in our situation. So I need to stress this, because a lot of people think that in the case of a garden or agriculture or whatever in this space, you look at what you can extract. No. We cannot extract just yet. First we need to build something. So basically we need to build the factory before we can make widgets. And the factory is not there. Yeah, you can see over there the factory that has been left. This is the neighbor's land, where the grasses are now oxidizing in the air and emitting a lot of carbon, as I have learned. So the plants are dying there because of that. There are no ruminants or other animals processing the plant matter. And therefore we need to build it up. And once we have built it, we can then think about how to responsibly use it, so that there is a benefit within the means that the soil affords us. We will see how this goes. So you see, there is a very drastic change in method, not in general direction. The goal has been the very same, how to regenerate this land and later find some benefit within the means that the land affords. So that has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the way how to do this. So we have learned what does not work and what does work, and now we are trying to do basically that. So we bring in enough water for a small strip, and we help the plants, in that case the trees, to grow. And once the trees are there, we have shade, we have better water retention, so we kickstart the system. I'm convinced that this will work in this dry climate with cattle alone, but you need a lot more land so that you can move them around and make them eat the dry plant matter like that we have over there. So if these 130 hectares over there were also ours, well, it would not be that serious, because there is quite a lot of forage to bring them a smaller herd, managed in very small cells. Could be done with this electric no-fence collar. But we don't have that. We only have our 45 hectares and we have run out of forage. So now we have to use money instead of forage, and we can use that money in a smarter way, like that. So we better buy seed and irrigation equipment instead of feeding straw and alfalfa pellets to animals that only give us a benefit for a portion of the year. So now we apply what we have learned. Just as a little preview, not going over there and show you details, you can see that the palovnia there that is alone is growing extremely well. It's a very pleasant surprise. It is now definitely catching up to the oak tree behind it. And you can see that many of the sunflowers with ample irrigation are now having their flower. Of course, a lot of the corn and all the other plants, they are suffering a little bit because the irrigation is difficult and the soil is not really soil that holds water, but that is why we plant this there. So it is working. And over there behind the chicken coop, we have also a lot more plants now. Of course, it requires an ample amount of water every day. My hope is that with 2 or 3 of these wobblers, we can automate this instead of standing there for a while. And that experiment that I have mentioned, we will probably do somewhere over there. So let me mention this quickly. So we have a water line there that comes from one well with one pump, and it provides ample pressure. If you look closely, you can see it dripping. That's because of the pressure. And then we have the other well and pump that is down at the outflow of the water reservoir, and the water line is somewhere over there, and that is the one that we use to irrigate behind the chicken coop. So there in this area we have both pumps available, or the water from both pumps, and that is the site of the experiment. So I will order a dozen of these wobblers, and then we will measure and see how many we can operate at the same time with either of the 2 pumps, and that gives us quite a bit of data to plan the next steps. And of course, over there in this area there is something planned where we can definitely use that system. But first, this is the site for the experiment, and nothing will be planted just yet. And over there the horses now have access to this small paddock. Of course, everything is dry, but it provides better nutrition than nothing, because they have basically eaten everything else all around. We have a few more options where the horses can feed themselves, so that works. And Sakahawea over there behind, you can't see her because of the trees now. She is getting special feed for horses plus the straw for volume, and we have a few packages of straw reserved for that purpose. And we are getting a few more to maintain our bovines that are somewhere there behind for those 21 days before they can leave. We try to have them out on day 22 if possible, because we don't want to feed them anymore, and it's expensive and there is no benefit for our project. So we sell them for whatever anyone is going to give us. It's not going to be a great thing, so it will not be a commercial success, just the contrary. So we basically liquidate an asset, and then they're out and the distraction is gone, and we can focus on what now really matters.